All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on the absolute core of digital operations. We're going to take those highly structured, frankly, traditional competency standards and re-architect them into something entirely new, an interactive, AI-optimized learning hub that's purpose-built for the year 2026.
And here's the roadmap for how we're going to do it. We'll start with building your digital hub, move into the 6 core pillars, break down the pages versus post strategy, look at the pull content strategy, and wrap things up by measuring operational success. Let's get to it.
So part 1, building your digital hub. We're kicking things off by looking at the foundational blueprints you absolutely need to build a structured digital knowledge graph. Because you know as well as I do, in today's landscape, the architecture is literally just as important as the content itself.
Take a look at this. We are taking a highly formal, traditional NOSS manual. Specifically, this is the Malaysian National Occupational Skills Standard for Digital Marketing Operation Level 3. Now, traditionally, this incredibly vital operational standard just sits there as a static, dusty PDF. But our goal here? We want to extract all that core operational value and map it into a genuinely engaging digital experience. To pull off that transition, we have to ditch the giant walls of boring text and embrace a pillar and cluster architecture. We aren't just dumping info onto a web page anymore. Think of it like building a solar system. We're creating a massive central pillar, say the ultimate guide to digital marketing operations, and orbiting all our related clustered topics around it. This creates a seamless loop for users, and more importantly, it signals deep topical authority to AI search engines. It transforms a static manual into a living, breathing knowledge graph.
Now, for the actual 2026 layout strategy, we need to leave the pop-up gimmicks totally behind. Focused learners want scannability, they want context, and they want visual pacing. So instead of those heavy, exhausting paragraphs, imagine using interactive flipcards for your definitions, contextual call-out blocks for deep dives, and super clear next-step pathways that guide a user effortlessly from one operational task to the next. It's all about creating a frictionless, modern learning experience that's built on a bedrock of solid operational data. Moving on to section 2, the 6 core pillars. Let's actually look at how this architecture supports the specific operational competencies you need to master. We're taking the theory straight into practice. Derived straight from those level 3 occupational standards, these 6 areas are your ultimate clusters. If you're structuring a digital marketing team's workflow, literally everything falls neatly into these parent categories: social media marketing, SEO, SEM, e-commerce, mobile, and email marketing. These pillars are the absolute core of digital operations required to connect any business with its audience across the major channels. Okay, to operate effectively within these clusters, we have to baseline our terminology, and organic content is your rock-solid foundation. As the NOSS glossary defines it, this relies purely on relevance and keyword search, bypassing paid placement entirely. This is where your SEO pillar works overtime to draw in that natural traffic. And fun fact, organic traffic often yields the absolute highest long-term ROI of literally any channel you can operate. By contrast, when we decide to inject a bit of budget into the equation, we shift gears entirely into search engine marketing. Now we're forcing that first page visibility by actively bidding on target keywords. It's a completely different operational workflow from SEO. It requires meticulous budget management and intense conversion tracking, so your ads pop up exactly when user intent is at its highest. But here is the crucial takeaway, folks. Whether you are relying on that slow-burn organic content or running high-octane paid SEM campaigns, all of our operational efforts are ultimately judged by one singular metric: the conversion rate. Total conversions divided by traffic multiplied by 100. If your digital operations aren't actively optimizing for this exact percentage across every single cluster, honestly, you aren't marketing. You're just making noise. Which brings us to section 3, the pages versus post strategy. Now that we've nailed down our pillars and our core metrics, how do we physically structure all of this on the back end of a CMS? Well, this is where a lot of digital operators make a fatal mistake. Here is an absolutely critical technical distinction. You simply cannot build a permanent, AI-friendly syllabus using chronological posts. Think about it. If you use standard blog posts, your older, highly valuable content just gets pushed down and buried over time. Pages, on the other hand, they are static, they're evergreen, and they are hierarchical. They're timeless. They don't lose their prominent position just because the calendar flipped to a new month. So by nesting your specific content under parent pages, your URLs are logically telling search engines exactly how everything relates back to your core operations. For example, say your main hub is yoursite.com/social media marketing. That's the parent. Then /social media marketing /create business accounts is the child page nested underneath it. This precise URL structure feeds the AI search engines exactly what they crave: crystal clear context and hierarchy.
All right, section 4, the poll content strategy. With our evergreen hubs solidly built using those hierarchical pages, we now need a high-frequency strategy to magnetically pull traffic right into those pillars. This is where we bring dynamic content back into the mix. And listen, it is time to completely abandon those generic how-to articles. The 2026 audience demands radical transparency, behind-the-scenes proof, myth-busting authority, and solutions to highly specific real-world problems. That is true poll content. You need to answer an immediate pain point, show them a gritty experiment you ran, compare two hyper-specific tools, or challenge a common industry belief using those NOSS standards as your unshakable source of truth.
Here's how this looks in practice. We map high-value poll content directly back to our operational parent pages to feed our RSS and social channels. Just look at the specificity here. A title like "Stop Wasting Ad Budget, 3 Settings Most SEM Managers Ignore" instantly identifies a pain point for a junior manager, provides immense immediate value, and then securely links them straight back to your evergreen SEM pillar page to learn the full operational workflow. It's an incredibly strategic web of internal linking.
And when you go to promote these pieces, please don't just drop a link on social media and pray someone clicks it. You want to guide users through this 4-step tease and solve loop that literally traps them in an engaging learning cycle. You hook them on platforms like LinkedIn with a surprising fact, provide an immediate insight right there in the comments, link them to the deep dive, and finally, use a sticky redirect on your site to push them right into your core learning pillars.
And finally, section 5, measuring operational success. Let's look at how we measure the weight and success of these operations exactly as dictated by the formal NOS framework. Because let's face it, allocating your time correctly is just as important as the content itself. Based on the Standard Development Committee's consensus, here is exactly where your operational focus should be distributed. Social media and e-commerce require the absolute heaviest lifting, eating up 25% of your operational weight each, which makes sense, especially since e-commerce involves those incredibly complex back-end inventory and order management systems. Then, SEO and SEM are right behind at 20% each, while mobile and email wrap things up with a combined 10%. You can absolutely use this as your baseline blueprint for resource allocation. Oh, and here is a massive operational pro tip for you. The digital landscape is constantly shifting, right? So keeping your timestamps fresh is a massive visibility signal for search engines. Whenever you revisit one of those evergreen pillar pages to tweak or improve it, always update that last updated timestamp. It proves to your readers and to the AI crawlers that your operational standards are verified and totally current. So I want to leave you with this actionable prompt. Take a hard look at your own digital architecture today. If an AI search engine crawled your site right this very second, what would it see? A chaotic, tangled pile of outdated blog posts or a masterclass in digital operations? Apply this pillar and cluster mindset, and you can start building a truly dominant, authoritative digital presence today. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.